Okay, thanks everyone for joining us. And this is the Hampstead cover-up. And we're joined now by Ella and Abraham, who's going to explain a bit more about the case and loads more information about the social services and the corruption that's going on. And maybe we'd go on to some other topics as well. So just want to say hi to Ella and Abraham.
Hi to.
Hello.
You got yourself.
Okay, I was wondering, how comes the police interview, the first police interview on the 5th, happened so late at night?
Right. Yes, so what happened, we arrived to London on the 4th, I think it was afternoon, and we went straight away to Abraham's brother-in-law, officer, yeah?
He's a police sergeant.
Police sergeant,
police sergeant.
Jean-Clément Yahiru.
Jean-Clément Yahiru, yes.
And so we stayed with him a little bit late. And the next day he sent, he's obviously sent the information to his superiors, and about I think 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 policemen came to us, not in the uniform, and from the child protection unit of Barnet police station.
One of them was named Cleo Papachristou, and the other policeman was?
The other one was Jonathan Dix, I think. And so we were a bit, we were a little bit suspicious in the beginning. No, we were. I was.
Too.
And because we knew the extent of this activity and criminal activity which is going on, and we knew that these people are quite well connected. So anyhow, these 2 policemen, they seem to be quite they seem to be interested. They couldn't believe it at the start, and then as they heard the story, they became more and more persuaded that it is real and is going on, and
Cleo became visibly excited. At the prospect of.
So they come to your house, these 2 police officers, in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
And arrange for an interview to be done that same day.
Yes. Well, everybody realized how important it was to go ahead as soon as possible, and they called us later on. Yeah. And then they called quite soon, maybe after a couple of hours, maybe 5 o'clock, and they said, "Well, okay, will you come to the interview?" And it was for 8 o'clock, I think. We arrived there at 8.
Right. Okay. And
yes. And what happened? Children, each of them were interviewed for about maybe hour and a half, actually, but maybe about an hour, and then they took the samples of their hair for the test, which, by the way, the result of these tests never arrived. It's kind of got lost, even though I inquired about it. But then, even with the police disclosure, you can't find it anywhere, the results.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they've done another test, which maybe a couple of months later, which I wasn't there when they took it, so we don't even know who's here. They've been analyzing.
Is that when they was with the
in the foster care?
When they was taken away and was put into foster care?
That's right. After a couple of months later.
Yeah.
So they've done this test, but without my knowledge, without my consent.
So why are the children's being interviewed now? You're not actually in the room with them, so you was just outside the police station, at the main desk.
No, I was in the police station. I was in a different room, and I did ask them whether they need my consent or they need my presence. They said, "Oh, no, we don't do this. We have authority to perform the interviews without the consent of the parent because of the nature of the allegations they deal with." So anyhow, But coming back to your original question, it was quite a bit of things going on. You know, this hair sample, and then they've been scanning the
Which
evidence.
at a time, yeah, if you arrived
The
there at 8, then
yeah, the you know the plan. Sorry, the plan of the secret rooms and children's drawing, and by the way, all this evidence got concealed as well. And then Steve Martin, he suggested for children to show the property where the the rape, where the sodomy and the abuse was going on.
yeah.
So that took time. I don't know. Maybe it was about another
How
45
did he
minutes.
get them to show them? You just got a MacBook out, or
Well, they remember the addresses, even though they were confusing us at
right?
some
So they got a
points.
computer and they used Google Earth or something, or
They use Google Earth to trying to identify the locations, and so that proved to be difficult. The children were tired, and so we finished like I don't maybe 11:30. I would say.
Did you notice anything? Was everyone polite to you, or were you getting strange looks, or people arriving? You know, a lot of people arriving, or
What do you
did you
mean?
notice anything suspicious?
What
while
do you
were
mean
there?
in the police station?
Yeah, or you were just kept out of the way, basically.
No, I didn't know. I didn't see anyone apart from those two policemen who were interviewing children,
Yeah.
Steve Martin and
And did
Cleo.
sorry to cut you down. Did the children mention anything to you after the interview? Now, once you've left the police
No,
station,
they were
you're
quite excited, and they
Yeah.
were quite relieved that the process started and they started to give evidence.
Yeah, it was
We
looking
were
good.
quite all of us we were tired but quite happy.
Yeah,
Although children were getting tired, and but then they kind of things were dragging on, and it seemed to be important was been going on.
yeah. But did they
And
mention anything in the car on the way home, or maybe the next day? Did they mention anything? Because there's a bit in the interview with Elisa where there's a phone call made, and it sounds like someone's shouting outside in the next office.
No, I think
And I'm sure
that
there was a swear word used as well, and you can see Elisa's stops talking at that point.
nothing concerned them. It's only a couple of days later when we didn't hear anything from them, and it was a bit something was confusing was going on. And then on Monday, I received an email from the solicitors who were acting on my behalf in the previous proceedings. The proceedings were already going on in regards to contacts, right, for almost a year. So this solicitor, he's sending me an email saying that he received an email from Damon, who's stating that someone called him. Did he say? I can actually publish this email. I guess we can put it in the interview, right?
Yeah,
So
sure.
this is the time when he was tipped off. I think he's even saying in this email that maybe social worker called him. No, he's asking why children are being taken to the police, and the details of that email was quite quite surprising. For example, he said that someone escorted us to the interview. And it's true, because we asked Jean Clément to come and come from his work, and then to
Need support for you in that, yeah.
to come together with us to the interview, because we're not trusting the police. Remember, the police is involved. Yeah, this was children were telling us, and many police stations around our area looks like been involved, right? And Barnet as well. There is one person in Barnet, and we mentioned this to police as well. But they never came back with any response about it. And but what I mean is, someone already tipped him off during this weekend. So it was Friday night when we went for the first interview, the 5th. So
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, he already knew before that, right? Because the solicitor received this email on Monday.
Right. Okay.
So, and when children heard about it, they started to
their behaviour
they were
started to
stressed.
change
They were
because they was
stressed
made
about it.
aware
Huh?
that he knew.
Sorry.
Did their behaviour start to change? They was made aware that he knew.
Well,
about
they started to get stressed about it because even Alisa saying in this little video which a friend of ours filmed, she's saying that police is doing nothing, and that maybe Gabriel actually mentioned, he's saying that he knows about it, and
Yeah.
the same thing was going on the 11th, right?
Yeah. I mean, all the way through, you can see that the police, they're not really interested in the case, are they? They don't want to listen to anything that Gabriel was saying. I mean, he was coming out with quite a lot of good information that he wanted to expose, and the police officer was always trying to change the subject or make out that he didn't understand what was going on, and he was talking too fast, and he wasn't really interested, was he?
No, he wasn't at all. No. He was cutting short children a lot, interrupting them and changing, and also asking leading questions. Trying to, concentrating on furnishings in Mr.
Yeah, the
Holling's house, for
furnishings
example.
and the dildos. You seemed quite interested in the dildos at one point, and wouldn't come off the subject, which I thought was quite out of order. How big was it? How wide was it? How long was it? What colour was it?
Yeah, that was
For
very
a police
concerning.
guy,
I remember.
He could have allowed him to explain some other things rather than staying on that subject there. But that just goes to show you what you was actually dealing with, what's now been made aware to everyone now, that the police are corrupt and more than likely part of this cult.
And his interest in this kind of things also comes out in the interview. Huh?
Oh yeah, very clear, very clear. Because obviously they're not thinking it's going online, are they? It's in the police station. It's their video. They're not expecting it to come online, are they? And maybe if we could just quickly go on to that. Now, that was Sabine, apparently, that made them videos available online, she reckons, but she didn't publish them.
Well, I mean, she did publish it, because I tell you why. When she's got these videos from me, and of course it was in strict confidential sort of way.
Because you was actually doing your own video, wasn't you? So she must have been aware of that.
Sorry?
You was actually going to do your own video, wasn't you? So,
yes, no, not at that point. Not at that point.
Okay,
We're talking back in December, because
Right.
remember, we believed that these videos were published for a long time. We believed that it was these videos were published in February. I thought it was published on the 10th.
Right.
And on the 11th, I had a meeting with Mackenzie friends, and it was for the second time I told Sabine that to make sure not to publish anything. And she kept quiet, and everybody else in the room kept quiet. And in fact, they already knew that last evening this video has gone viral already. So they kept quiet, they didn't tell me anything. And now we're learning that some people already watched those videos in December, on the 15th of December. And this was, I would imagine, she put those videos up.
Why do you think they put the videos out then? I mean, if you wasn't actually thinking about doing it yourself at that point.
Well, as she said in the email later on, she's done it her way. She said she's clear in saying, I've done it my way.
Yeah, well, that's what Belinda was saying, that she was saying that it needs to be stopped now, and this is the only way to do it, is to make it public.
Yeah, exactly. She's what she did. She. Sorry. Do you want to explain?
Okay, Sabine and Belinda are members of an organisation known as the Mackenzie Friends.
That's right.
They would describe themselves as lay legal advisors, and often mothers find themselves with the Mackenzie Friends as a last resort.
Yeah, because
No, what also comes to the mind that we also now learn that this has been done in other cases as well, when the court materials were published and the mothers were got in trouble for that.
they got the blame for it.
Yes, it happened. It happens. Well, as what I know of, at least on two occasions before, in
Right,
Vicky
because
Haig's
there's
case.
rumours going around that the
Yeah.
Mackenzie Friends are working with known paedophiles, and really they're not there to help. They're just there to
Sabotage
gather
the
the
cases.
information or to store things or.
There are lots of rumors. Guys.
A lot of rumors, but we only can comment on what we experienced
Yeah.
and what we know. And now we're talking with other mothers, and we learned
Okay.
that it happened before. They do this kind of things before,
Yeah, well, it's not very professional, is it?
without mother's consent.
Yeah,
They're
that's
doing,
no good, is it? It's not very
yes,
professional, is it?
and so what happened she published this Google Drive in December. So some people already watched it and already commented on David Icke's forum.
David Icke's forum, yeah.
Yeah, but for some reason, you see, we had said. So I had a meeting with them. I don't remember, the Tuesday was 11th or 10th, but we also had a meeting with them on the 2nd with Mackenzie Friends, where we discussed that we're thinking to make those private videos public, especially those videos were not part of the court material. So really, I could do anything. I could have done anything I wanted with these videos. And when she heard that, what happened there? Remember?
Well,
she said,
what happened is you had asked categorically, asked them not to publish.
Yeah, I asked. Yes, we asked them categorically not to publish anything because
This is Sabine you're talking about now, or Belinda?
No, it was quite. It was a meeting with Mackenzie Friends with 4 or 5 people, I think. There, yeah, or 3, 4. Something was there. 4 people was there.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Small mind control stuff.
So okay, you've come back from Morocco. You've had a nice holiday out there. Well, apart from the little incidents with the food and stuff like that, but you've come back.
It wasn't little incidents, and it wasn't. I won't say it wasn't that pleasant at all. You know, the 3 weeks, it was a pure hell for all of us. It was really traumatic, very stressful, and we hardly slept. You know, the tension was extremely high.
We came back stressed. We came back with post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, like when you go on holiday sometimes and you don't really rest, and you come back from holiday and you actually need a holiday to recover from your holiday.
Yeah.
Well, it was like that, but you know, exponentially.
Yeah, well, it's not a nice holiday to go and have to talk about. I mean, there's no good place to be to talk about a subject like this, really, is there? You know,
no, and it was every day something new was coming up. In the beginning, it was just the information about him touching them inappropriately. And then it was another information about this pedophile ring before school time, and then they started to disclose what's going on in school, and the sex days and injections, and then at the very end all this bloody stuff started to come out. You know, the sacrifices and of course, you know, the names and the most wicked one they left for the for the last days. So it was, you know, we're extremely stressed, all of us. Children were stressed as well. They were fearful, they were confused, but they were relieved on the other hand as well. So
they were confused. It was very difficult for them because once they'd begun disclosing, you could see that often, particularly Elisa, she was reluctant to disclose because of her relationship with her father. She obviously loves her father, and she doesn't want anything to happen.
She didn't want then. She didn't want
initially,
but then
she was highly protective of him. But
and they're fearful as well, aren't they? They're fearful.
Well, of course,
very fearful. Yeah.
As well.
They even been talking about in foster care. They've been and while examined by the doctor, they've been expressing their fears, and they've been talking about the nightmares they had that their dad would come and kill them. So they were very fearful, and
anyway, this is the cult. This is the sodomite death cult of the government attempting to cover up. And they've taken Elisa and Gabriel because Elisa and Gabriel, they know the inner workings of the cult because they've been in the cult for 4 or 5 years. And although apparently he's been sodomizing them since birth, they've been
maybe
in
not since birth. I would
and his side of the family as well.
Sorry.
Pardon?
And his side of the family as well is
His side of the family
they describe
as well.
They're describing in many details that his family was especially heavily participating in the preschool years, where he was taking them into this group of people regularly. He was taking their dad was taking children regularly to this pedophile ring, mentioning the same names consistently.
Yeah, because I mean, at one point, Gabriel even says that he's been shown pictures of when he was younger.
That's correct. This is where they started to do his Diamond looks like this is the time when he started to his career as a child pornographer started to take off, as well as a snuff movie maker. And and children are talking about adults been covering their mouths so they couldn't breathe. They were pinching their nose, suffocating them.
Which is something they accused me of in the
local authority.
The local authorities got children took it. So, they like to accuse you of what they're guilty of. It's something else we've learned.
Yeah, they like to reverse it, don't they?
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically, okay, so you've come back from Morocco and everything's been disclosed over the time when you was in Morocco.
Well, not all of them.
And you haven't had a very nice holiday because of the subjects and the fact that you found this all out now. And then when you've come back now, you've arranged to go to the police station the next day. Someone's arrived at 2 p.m. at your house that day and arranged for an interview for 8 o'clock at Barnet police station. You've arrived there, they've taken samples and stuff like that and done an interview which was going on past 11 o'clock at night. You didn't notice anything while you was at the police station and the children haven't mentioned anything, but obviously after that you started to become suspicious of the way that the case was going.
Well, the investigation.
Well, first of all...
And what about the social services? I mean, obviously they were they from the 5th, were they there, or were they from the 11th?
No, they were...
She came to the house. When did she come?
Which one?
The blonde one that came with them.
Well, they've been involved in your life.
Right. The only time they, well, as far as we are aware, the first time they came was on the 10th. They came to my house unannounced, claiming they tried to call me, but they couldn't get through, although I didn't have any missed calls. Anyway, they just came to surprise us, I would imagine. 6 people, I think, came. A couple of social workers and I think 4 policemen.
Yeah,
And
they all come at the same time.
yeah, they came to our house and they were insisting to come in and talk to us and see the children.
Right, okay. And did they actually come in the house?
Yes, they came in the house and they
I mean, before police, it sounds like they was thinking about taking the children then. So
they must have, but because we were quite complying, we were trusting still.
yeah,
They decided perhaps not to do it.
right, and
Because
they couldn't see anything inside the house that would
Very good. Good point.
cause them to do anything like
because
that.
I didn't realize it, you know,
Yeah.
like you actually drew our attention to that. Six people came, wife, 6 people, and they were quite insisting on seeing children. Remember? They
Yeah,
wanted
and
to
like
see
you're saying, they
children.
come unannounced, so
That's right.
God
that's
knows
right.
what they was thinking they was going to find there. But obviously, they found a normal house, a normal family, and they obviously couldn't do nothing at that point. But it sounds like at that point they were actually thinking about doing things like that.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's a secret society. It's a secret cult. It's a child sacrifice sodomite cult, death cult, and they've been exposed. And we've got 2 children who have been long-term members of this cult, who are, describing graphically the inner workings of the cult. Do you see what I mean?
In great details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's shocking that the police are actually in this cult, and so I mean, obviously we know it involves high-level people, but
it's not
you
a
know,
surprise. It's not a surprise because
No.
even the social services as an establishment or part of the establishment being formed by the pedophiles and members of cult themselves.
Yeah.
And Abraham can expand on this. He's done extensive research on that
Done a little bit
subject.
of research.
yeah, please do.
Yeah, you did.
What's his name? Peter.
About Barbara Kahan and
yes.
Peter Wrighton and Barbara's Kahan's husband Vladimir Kahan. They looks like the couple they met in Oxford. And then we're not quite sure yet, but I'm sure it will come out somewhere.
Yeah,
information.
Oxford academics.
Yeah.
They never had children. They both had how can I say? They had an intense interest in childcare. Barbara Kahan,
for some reason, for some unknown reason yet,
and her husband, who was a child psychiatrist, Vladimir Khan.
Yeah.
We believe he's part of the brain drain from Russia at that time. Anyway, they married.
Psychiatrist.
Yeah, he's a Tavistock and Home Office psychiatrist. Anyway, they worked together, and they married in 1955. And it was Barbara Kahan who was a pioneer in the field of child welfare and residential, specifically in residential care. And it was her. It was her who legitimized Peter Wrighton's academic sort of academic credence, as it were, or credibility within the child welfare and social services sort of profession. So it was that unholy alliance between Vladimir Khan, a Tavistock Home Office child psychiatrist, Barbara Kahan, pioneering child welfare worker,
connected with Home Office,
and Peter Wrighton, and Peter Wrighton, with other government connections, Peter Wrighton, and so it was this unholy alliance that formulated and formed the guidelines for the development of child welfare and residential child care throughout the last 50, 60 years. And this is why the cult has been able to have such control, because these 3, whilst they may not be responsible for this epidemic of child sacrifice and sodomy, they greatly facilitated this plague through their, as I say, formulation of child welfare and child residential care policies.
I mean, because Peter Wrighton is a known paedophile, isn't he? I mean, he got caught at the school that he was teaching at. He's a friend with Charles Napier.
Absolutely, yeah, he got Charles
No
Napier.
paedophile.
He got Charles Napier a job. He got him a plum job after he'd been convicted, and and he got another.
And
He got another.
the address was 5 to 9 Tavistock Place.
That's the one. And he got another guy, another doctor. What's his name? I think it was Morris, another paedophile, to endorse. To endorse his reference of Napier. But let's get back to Wright and see Wrighton. She says, see what made us suspect Kahan ultimately is that she says that she had no idea. She had no idea, and he hoodwinked her. She believed that he was homosexual, as he enjoyed a homosexual relationship. He had a living partner, and she believed that he was homosexual. But this was a time. This was in the 70s, a time of new liberal ideals, as it were. And it would appear that the climate was such that nobody challenged his philosophy, as it were, or his ideas regarding sex with children. He regularly wrote, and he spoke freely amongst his colleagues regarding his sexual proclivities and his feelings.
Well, it seems to be quite a few of them were doing it at the time. Within the government.
Well, he was writing extensively. Look, it goes on. It's part of their culture.
He's a founder of Pi.
He's also he's a founding member of Pi. I know his membership number is 51. So it looks like he was possibly the 51st.
And he's fully participated in the in advising Barbara Kahan in formulating the practices and policies
for childcare,
for the childcare,
and particularly residential care.
And it looks like they were targeting vulnerable children.
Definitely targeting vulnerable children.
And all this referencing, it took place, like
pedophile
referencing.
Yes.
Other pedophile to get into school and into care
into schools and to care home
institutions.
Yes. And this is why we have the epidemic that we have now, because they've had half a century
and the laid foundation.
They've had 50 years to insinuate and place their colleagues, their cult colleagues, their sodomite colleagues within strategic positions, within social care and child welfare now, and social services specifically, because this was all of these were like the ancestors of social services, this child welfare.
The child they set up a lot of charities as well, don't they?
Yes, because
taking
these
kids out, on special days and stuff like that, and sailing.
Absolutely. Well, yes.
That's the Azimuth.
The Azimuth Foundation and that. Yes.
Yeah,
well, look, these are academics. These are Oxford academics, and they're considered the brightest brains in the country, and they're formulating the guidelines for child welfare.
So basically, paedophiles are telling us how we need to bring up our children.
Absolutely, exactly.
They're making it easier for themselves to gain access.
To gain access to vulnerable children, and these are the very same ones. Barbara Kahan was instrumental in outlawing corporal punishment in the 50s, early in the 50s. We were still getting the cane in my school, in the 70s. So I don't know what happened there, but
the first steps towards declaring that that the physical punishment of the children is a crime, and it triggers the social services, allows social services to take your children, and so it looks like these people been employed by the government. Barbara Kahan was introduced into the close circle of the English Queen.
Oh, she's a member of Privy Council. I forgot to mention that. Yes, Barbara Kahan.
And
definitely
so these people, they looks like these social services was established to actually carry out the job for those elite members, to snatch the children, to introduce them and like to sodomize them, and also to get the children for the sacrifices. And what we're experiencing now is what been so done.
The seeds that were sown then
Now is bearing fruits.
Bearing the fruits of Koram, with Koram, Tavistock and Kafkas and social
together.
services as an unholy alliance in the cause of industrialized, institutionalized child snatching. All right, so they're stealing children on an industrial scale. They have quotas. They have quotas of children that they must have up for adoption, and they're stealing children and selling them to the highest bidders.
Oh yeah, it's big business, isn't it? Fostering.
And but what is really surprising, and for me as an outsider of the society, is how for 50-60 years the people didn't know anything was going on. In the children homes. I mean,
Ella, people knew.
People knew, but nothing been done about it.
It's an open secret in the UK.
People knew, but they was threatened with their jobs, or maybe they had something else they could blackmail them with. Or...
Obviously, they've been given a lot of powers.
Yeah,
It's part of the,
and obviously, you know, they look
protected by the
trustworthy,
police
they
as
look
well.
trustworthy, they sound trustworthy, and a lot of this is based on honesty. You know, everything's based on honesty and trust. But now you can't trust no one.
How can you trust it? Look, it's part of the culture. These public schools, the right of sodomy is an integral part of their passing through the public schools.
Yeah, it looks like that way. Yeah.
And this is just a continuation of that culture. And so
to get anywhere in power, it looks like you had to have gone through something like that.
Yeah, but to know, to discover, the only reason we discovered the Baba Kahan connection was because they, rather arrogantly, they've used Baba Kahan's name in their money laundering operations that they've had running on Finchley Road and other boiler rooms locations, around London. So they're doing money laundering on an industrial scale, and Baba Kahan's name is one of the names that they use for the shell companies, for the fake companies. They use Baba Kahan's name as a director on over 35,000.
Wow.
35,000 different companies. This is research that's been done by a fellow called Gordon Bowden and his associate, Mr. George Lees, or Professor George Lees. They understand the intricate workings of the money laundering Ponzi schemes and the scams that are going on, and they've traced them via Galina Upson. We've traced them via Galina Upson and her husband Mark Upson. Their names are on a company with a company that has Baba Kahan's name on. So their names are implicated in this money laundering operation.
How many companies?
And these are the two people that the children have mentioned.
Yes,
abusing them as well.
This is Galina Upson, the Ukrainian, a real estate agent.
Mother of James
Upson, who's one of the 20 special children, who obviously doesn't want to be in the cult. He's a bright lad, and he's continually rebelling. Anyway, so we've got Galina.
There was an incident he was fighting with a teacher in school, and I wondered, what caused the child to fight with this school teacher?
I wonder. Anyway, we've got Galina Upson and Mark Upson. Now, this Galina Upson is the same one that gave the children a pornographic, a Ukrainian pornographic cartoon DVD as a birthday present. We've still got it as evidence.
Unbelievable.
Which police never was interested.
They weren't interested.
And in fact, when they came on the 10th, we showed them this evidence, and they were not even interested.
And Galina Upson, the children have made drawings of a number of the alleged cult members, and and the drawing of Galina Upson's pubenda, her tattoo on her pubenda, and distinguishing mark. The drawing, it went missing during a photocopying session at a particular MI5 witch's house. But fortunately, we had already made photocopies, so we've got some photocopies of Galina Upson's tattoo and her pubenda.
And birthmark on her hip.
The birthmark on the hip, precisely, and we shall be sharing that with the
grand jury.
It's strange how that's the only one that went missing.
Well, I think that one and another one.
She's quite a key person.
Oh, she's totally a key player.
And she's high in the cult. Yeah. And those plastic willies that children talking about, there were 3 different colors they used, and according to the level of the members of the cult. There was skin color, black and
white,
and gold, I think.
And
gold. So skin color was the highest or the lowest? We don't remember.
We've written it all down.
We don't remember it now.
Like I was saying, that police officer that was doing the interview, he seemed pretty interested in the equipment there, didn't he? He kept making reference to it, the size of it, the length of it.
Yeah, there is.
How did they pull it in? You could see Gabriel felt quite awkward with the question.
Most definitely.
But he was enjoying. Steve was definitely enjoying.
He seemed to be enjoying it. Yeah, that's right. You can actually hear that, and it's shocking to hear that a police officer would talk to a child like that.
It's not shocking when you know. It's not shocking when you know that these cult members, these paedophiles, were instrumental in formulating these child welfare and social service
and protection
guidelines.
And child protection.
Once
well,
you know,
because it's breaking before your face, isn't it? It's happening live. You're watching the video. It's meant to be a police officer.
Wow.
That's what I mean by shocking. The fact that you don't expect something like that.
Well, there it is in your face. You've got sexually deviant.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that children were describing those different levels of the cult members, and Galina Upson was a high cult member.
Right. Okay.
She was, and now we can actually see that this is what happened there.
Absolutely.
She's linked to Alex Cameron, right?
Yes, totally linked. Totally.
And
because she's involved with the scam, with the money laundering scam.
And now we understand why they have no intention to return the children, because of the cover that Diamond has within the government.
He's been doing the offshore banking, you see. They do the money laundering here, and then he helps them with the offshore banking. Hello?
Yes, I mean, obviously, like the grandparents, they went to that meeting at the Russian embassy. They was told then that they would be the last resort. It was going to be the father first, social services next.
Well, what happened was actually, what happened today, I've received a forwarded email from a local authority, and they're saying that grandparents left, and they are it seems like they're not interested. They are also, I can publish this email actually, or extracts, and that the assessment wasn't finished, and however, my parents are preparing statements about this interview, and I was writing today. I was making my notes today to help them to compile this witness statement. But what they're saying that you see, they've been invited. They've been made to believe that they're coming and they're gonna see children almost every day. That's what's been said.
I mean, they're coming from Russia, though, aren't they?
Yes, and also Russian consul looks like he was persuaded, and then he persuaded my parents to come, and the carrot was, oh, you're gonna see children just almost every day, something like that been said. And of course they came, they came right away. But when they came, and during the first interview, it became obvious and apparent to them that the idea is for them to, the idea of this interview for the grandparents to comment or to agree with Puffley's judgment. And a social worker made it very clear to them that depending on their conduct and on their conduct during the second interview, where this reading of Puffley's document supposed to be happening.
To agree with Puffley's judgment, basically.
Exactly. And they said, and they'd also been told that they're not going to see children. Children are not ready to see them. They're not psychologically prepared to see them. And it could be very stressful for the children to see their grandparents.
Right, yeah. This is what they normally say.
Yeah.
This is Tavistock. This is Tavistock.
Yeah.
And not just that, they also...
well, it's probably Peter writing, isn't it?
Well, this is why they've got all this. That's why they're all psychiatrists. This is why they use psychiatry.
This is the terminology they use on, vulnerable people.
That's what they do. They put themselves into position as psychiatrists, as
like
social care workers.
like Dr. Sturge, for example,
exactly.
who's been covering many
Sturge
other cases as well,
yeah.
And she's been declaring children mentally ill, and the parents as well, and that's what they're trying to do to me the whole time, trying to. This is what their agenda, to say that I'm mentally ill.
So people really,
which obviously are not.
This is why we're speaking about it, because we really feel that people need to be aware. Mothers, they really need to be aware of this phenomena.
Well, exactly. I mean, where can you turn to? I mean, it's not a good situation.
You turn to
an authority. This is what you're hearing.
You can't turn to authority. You have to alleged authority. You turn to authoritative members of your community, trusted members of your community,
or maybe your family, and work out the plan, and really work on the plan to take children out of the country.
That's the only thing.
This is the only. Looks like the only solution we can see at the moment, unless people are gonna.
Vicky Haig says.
What else can you do?
Vicky Haig says all a mother needs to do, all a mother has to do, is meet a paedophile.
And you're finished.
Because
you're gonna lose your child.
Once any children that are involved in a relationship, they don't even have to be children, offspring of the union. They may be your own child that you bore prior to that relationship with the paedophile.
Exactly, and there is American case is going on at the moment, where this woman she only briefly was, I don't know, dating maybe this pedophile or member of the cult in completely different state. She's in Georgia, and I think he's from somewhere else, and so this man, who is not even father of the boy, he claimed residential rights over this child, and two judges in Georgia or Florida gave mother undisputable rights over the child. However, this guy, he went to California and got another judge to support his allegations against the mother, some kind of allegations, and they took a boy. They gave boy to him. Some, I don't know, the marshal, they called the marshals or something like that.
Yeah.
They
saying
brought police
from another state.
From another state, they came to took the boy, and they put mother in jail. She's in jail now.
God. This is the future that they want from us. They can just turn up, say, I like that child.
That's what's going on in France. The same case in France.
They're doing it now. They're doing it.
Exactly. A month ago, a mother and grandfather, who children confined to, they've been declared she was declared mentally ill. They said that they coach and torture children and saying things that their dad was killing babies at front of the camera, and he's a builder for the cult members in south of France, Saint-Tropez. So this woman and grandfather was put into jail for 3 years each. So it is going on. It's going all over the place. It's
Yeah.
going,
Also,
and they're covering, and
you're
they
saying about this case in Norwich as well.
exactly, which they're trying to
Norwich,
squash
yeah.
it now.
Norwich, yeah, they put a bit of a press blackout on that one. What happened initially? The BBC were reporting on this one,
That's
and
right. Yeah.
they called the claims of because there are 10 alleged professionals. The lead protagonist in this little saga is a woman called Maria Black, and there are 6 women, 4 men.
Widow.
The Black Widow, yes. There are 6 women and 4 men. That's what she's known as in her local community.
Right.
Okay. Now, so as I say, there's 6 men and 4 women, 6 women and 4 men involved in this, and the children, 5 children. The children allege that they've been sodomized, and that they have been forced to drink human blood. Now, the BBC or whoever was reporting on this called the claims, or someone called the claims of blood drinking nonsensical. However, there's a senior fantastical nonsensical. Yeah. However, there's a senior social worker, Gail Barnet, whom they're attempting to defame, who says quite categorically that the claims aren't nonsensical or fantastical in any way, shape, or form. That she's heard the children, and she believes their claims. Now, the blood drinking was not being reported on. The case has been going on since 2010, and nobody's hearing about the case, and they particularly won't hear about it. Yes, they won't. Press. They put a gagging order on the press because they won't hear about it. And there's a Mackenzie friend up there reporting on it, but the reports that we're getting, I'm sorry, we're reading between the lines, and we're getting we're seeing something else, because there's a lot of disinformation out there, and a lot of COINTEL, and something else, counterintelligence operatives, COINTELOPOs out there, spooks, yeah.
Spooks. Recently, they passed a new bill, didn't they, in Parliament, to fund these kinds of operations.
Well, of course, because this is government. This is extension of
because
government.
obviously they realise that the information's getting out now, and they need to come with the disinfo, don't they, or actually try and take control of the actual situation if they can.
Yeah, with the controlled opposition, and like setting up websites or other other organisations pretending to help you, or whatever it is they're doing. So yeah, you've got to watch out for psyops. You've got to watch out for friends who aren't really friends, and just beware anyone who comes into your circle, because
people need to recheck everything again and double check.
They've got to check and double check,
especially when there's children involved.
Most definitely, this cult. Yeah. It's a death cult, right? This is why they're sacrificing children. This cult has been practicing this dark art for at least 26,000 years, it looks like.
So, the children were saying that they've got no name, this cult. But obviously there is cults with names. Is it true they've got no name, or are they part of a known cult?
Different people call themselves different names.
But you know what? Some of this cult has no name. I've heard this recently on one of these videos we watched about they're going extensively in those cults, and they say that the most wicked ones do not have a name.
Precisely. Now because they use how can I say, they use aspects of mystery, what are known as the mystery religions, and this is what Adam Weishaupt was commissioned by the Rothschilds to do, to collect all of the mystery religions knowledge and bring it together. And this is they united it all under the umbrella of what they call the Illuminati, and this yes, the illuminated ones, and we believe that this, of course, this refers to the rite of sodomy, the illumination, because that's an integral part of this cult. The rite of sodomy, whereby they stimulate the nerve endings at the base of the spine when they penetrate the anal passage of the victims with whatever instruments they're using, because it's not necessarily sexual. The reason
Preferences.
the reason for penetrating the anal passage of the victim, for many it's merely the mechanical stimulation,
Control.
precisely
To control the victim.
stimulation of the nerves at the base of the spine in order to create a kundalini-like sensation whereby
Rising
rising kundalini, where it stimulates the third eye, the pineal gland, and causes the victim to have flashes or see light, or for their third eye to become illuminated. And some people say that's where the term Illuminati came from. You want to say something?
No, they believe that by sodomizing children, they're gonna get access to some other places in the universe where they're gonna become.
It's a Stargate.
It's gonna become. They're gonna become like a lord of this particular part of the universe. So
Right.
people
They
believe
they're going to come back as something bigger and better.
exactly.
Well,
But I believe that all this is all this ideology behind it. It's
mythology,
a mere excuse
the smoke screen for pedophiles.
for
For hurting children.
what's really going on.
All right.
I think, well, I believe that people joining this cult for power and money. This was happening because once they join, then they're getting promotion according to their talents, whatever, actors,
Selling their souls,
musicians, artists. You know, they're getting promoted, and that's why it's getting more and more difficult for normal common people to advance in their careers because all the doors locked. You know, you have to join the cult to grow as a profession.
You have to sell your soul
to succeed.
to climb up the ladder.
Ella made a great point the other day when you were talking about the same point.
Oh, what did I say?
What you said about the cult is that they because we said it's a death cult, and Ella says they don't join because maybe not because.
No, what I said, I think that they're sacrificing children, believing that well, taking children's life, they're gonna prolong their own. And
the same as with the sodomy, they believe
kind
that they're going to take on the youth or the purity of the child, which is why they do it allegedly.
As to please the god of death.
Yeah.
And I was questioning that. I mean, do they really? I mean, these people are normally educated. But usually the one I've seen in the school, they're all, you know, people with high education. I mean, do they really believe this? That taking someone's life, you're gonna prolong your own? Isn't it obvious to anyone by killing, you're only gonna get death from that? By committing this act of murdering, what can you do? You're actually gonna attract the worst karma to yourself. But
well, I suppose if it's your parents that's actually been bringing you up like that, and you're just gonna think it's normal, aren't you? From a baby, and you're growing up and you're being shown that's how life is.
Yeah.
After a while, you're just going to start thinking that's how things are, because you're in your own little world, aren't you?
Well, of course, if you're indoctrinated.
But many people, they're new to that. You know,
nowadays
it's like
new
30
people should be aware of it, but it's the
people are
money,
joining.
it's the fame.
And they say they're actually going, these agents, they're going around places where young people hanging out. For example, they go to these festivals, the summer festivals, and they try to catch young people. But what I mean is, this whole ideology is really like just so laughable. Do you really believe that?
Well, for us,
it's really for the power. They're doing for the power. They're doing for
New Age. They're using New Age ideology to trap the children. That's right. In these festivals.
That's true. That's true. As well.
Yeah. Because they've got them wearing skulls and all that now on the t-shirts and the hats, and
Yeah.
all these satanic symbols and all
Death
that.
cult. It's a death cult.
Yeah, the brainwash.
They believe in death. They believe in
You know,
death. They glorify death. They worship death. They eat dead foods too. Guidance. They eat dead foods.
They eat dead flesh.
Yes.
Forget dead food, dead flesh. What can you get out of it?
Yeah, but even cooked food is dead. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, what if you eating dead, whatever it is? How can you possibly expect any extension of life?
Well, they get stimulation from eating it. They get You see, all these blood products. Many of the ancient religious traditions, they prescribe against humans consuming blood products, and our research now shows the science behind it. You see, blood products contain many, what I call them, biochemicals. Toxic biochemicals.
Which occur during the time of death, and the trauma that occur to both infants and animals.
Yeah.
At the before they, like for example, animals, they're highly traumatized before they're taken to slaughterhouses, and of course, blood will be adrenalized, and then adrenaline will break into very powerful free radical, adrenochrome,
which is a powerful psychotomimetic, right? Which means that it creates psychotic episodes, delusion, delirium,
and compartmentalization
of the individual psyche, which is described by psychiatrists as schizophrenia. So schizophrenia is something other than multi-personality disorder. Schizophrenia is a compartmentalization of the individual's psyche, which adrenochrome facilitates as it's a defense mechanism in order to deal with traumatic experience. And this is why we feel that the mass food supply is being contaminated with fetal cells and with human flesh in order to create a form of mass schizophrenia, or a mass capability of compartmentalizing the horror of the wars that are going on the planet,
or violence.
And yes.
Yeah, it's a combination of things, isn't it? The foods, the TV programming,
definitely,
the
over-sexualization of the children, in fact, the hypersexualization, the subliminal sexual imagery in Disney's cartoons.
The economical slavery.
Sexual education at the school, learning, they want to lower the age again, but I mean, it's pretty low at the moment.
Economic.
Teaching about sex, 8-year-olds.
Do you know, in Germany, there was a case recently where 5 years old girl complained to her Russian parents that they are teaching children sexual positions, but I mean proper sexual positions.
5-year-olds.
5 years old in school, as it is actually a proper lesson.
Part of
That's
the
unbelievable, isn't it?
And those parents were demonized, and they really set to hang. They were hunted out or something like that.
Yeah, because they're not members of the cult. It's like the teacher. It's like the teacher in Hampstead. The teacher in Hampstead, who was arrested, who was in court for abusing, touching a pupil. A Hampstead teacher was there for touching a pupil, a 9-year-old girl, I think. And the judge acquitted him, saying that, almost as if he was accusing the girl. But what happened was that there were 21. The point I'm labouring to make is that 21 teachers were there in support. 21 parents of the school or other people were there supporting the teacher.
Yeah, I saw that story. Yeah.
I mean, what they didn't name the school. I'll tell you something. I wouldn't be surprised to find out what school.
Yes.
Sounds a bit funny that 21 parents would be there in support.
It is funny, isn't it, that number? And the thing was that the children told us about 20 special families in Christchurch. This is what makes me because there
So
are
I mean, like we were saying, it's not the whole school at Christchurch. Obviously, they've got normal activities going on there as well.
Yes, yes, of course.
It's just
But
a selection of children that is happening to you.
group,
But then, because of the area, it's quite a few schools within the vicinity there. So it's 20 times how many other schools. So then you're going into the hundreds then.
well, of course, yeah. But what you got to remember is that the teachers.
No, it's just that Gabriel was saying no. There's hundreds of people, but it's 20, and then another 20.
No.
20 special families. That's
20?
40 people if you just count the parents. Then you've got if you just count. Then you've got the children. Some families have 2 or 3 children.
So it's not just 20 children. It's about maybe 40 or 45 or anything.
All right, let's say 40 children.
But it's not the whole school there. It's not the whole school there.
No, but if you've got,
activities going on.
all the teachers
if you've got 30 teachers,
are members of the cult. 30 members of staff.
30 teachers. Then you've got 40 parents. Then you've got another 40 children. There's 110. Just
And there are extended families as well.
Yeah, and then you've got the nursery. Then you've got the nursery next door as well.
So
and then you've got the vicar, and you've got.
Then you've got the special day on Wednesdays where people from the outside of school were joining in as well. And in the so-called sex parties.
Yeah, fun. They advertised them as fun sex parties, and they have them in their own. They entertain these parties in their private domestic dwellings.
Yeah.
And the children told us that. I think who was having parties at their house?
Mr. Hollings regularly had, and they described the house of Mrs. Forsdyke
and
Vanessa Fitzpatrick. And also Galina Upson was supplying empty properties for the rape of the children. Children being taken out by the school bus in groups and taken to those addresses.
But I mean, basically, I was down there. You wouldn't really think of it if you didn't know that this was going on. You wouldn't think of it. All looks innocent above board. But obviously, I did see children being moved around and all that. But that could be a normal activity as well. But
it's a cult stronghold.
Yeah.
Look, guidance. This is another thing we've learned. The church and the school are strategically placed on 2 dissecting ley lines, which makes the church an auspicious place to do child sacrifice because it amplifies the energy of the child sacrifice.
Yeah.
And so we were wondering why they sent so many spooks and FBI, why they sent the FBI bitch, the MI5 witch, and the ex-policeman snitch to come and
sabotage and stop the gatherings.
The Sunday vigils outside the church. We wondered why they'd gone to so much trouble.
Yeah.
And when we learned that, they wanted to continue their sacrifice there because of its auspicious position on the 2 dissecting ley lines, we understood why they protect the church.
Why they want to protect that position?
They took the children on 9/11. Alright, it's called Gematria. They're what is it? Is it whose numerology is it? Is it Kabbalistic?
Kabbalistic, Kabbalah.
Okay, and so they took the children on 9/11. They closed the case on 9/22. They like multiples of 11.
Yeah.
They like 9s and they like 11s, but they don't like 10.
Like police report is 77 pages.
Yeah, and they tell you to call 911 in America. Call 911. And they don't like, they're reversed to 10, and it's a round complete. It's a holy number. So, yeah.
So you're right about these trolls and that, and agents down at the church and everything. I mean, because they was down there filming people, weren't they? They was filming a lot of the supporters that had actually made their way down there to the Sunday service.
You're talking about the Liverpool connection, as opposed to the
Well, I mean, there was that woman with the Liverpool connection, but I mean, obviously there was other agents there.
Yeah.
But basically, you know, that's what I'm saying. The amount of people that's involved in this case trying to stall it and mess it up. You know, people online making comments, concerned comments, and that you got these trolls, you know, bad mouthing them and threatening them and stuff like that. The people that went down to the church, they was filming them. They put them online. You know, gave them funny names and put them in videos.
These are the Tavistock Rand type think tank psyops that are being funded by government. This is this is par for the course. This is GCHQ, MI5.
This is the government thing, yeah, they're funding it, aren't they?
You know,
Child
people
abuse
as
stuff
well.
is the main one, isn't it? Because it
Distracting,
involves the politicians and we can get them on this, can't we?
of course, look, it's
They're
just
creating-
money making. They want to take your children, kill your children, rape your children, sodomize your children, sacrifice your children, and steal your money and leave you destitute, so that
And
you're
distract
unable.
you while distracting you by entertainment, by the television, and by all this, and by stressing people out, but with all the wars and terrorism and conflicts and all this nonsense.
Yeah. It's all a form of mind control, isn't it?
Exactly,
You know,
what
to
they're
change
doing.
people's attitudes
Mass
and
mind
behaviors
control.
and
Mass
And
mind
now-
control.
And now I'm really concerned. It's been on my mind today all day that children are being visited by the psychiatrist while in
trying
care.
to alter their
Huh?
thoughts and that. Trying to
Yeah.
alter their thoughts and their opinions.
Exactly. My parents asked them, why psychiatrist? I mean, are in the hospital? Are they ill? Oh no, they're not. It's just they've been visited, or because they're so stressed and they're so
It's their normal procedure, isn't it, to throw in the psychiatrists and stuff like that? Because
Of course
obviously
it is.
they don't want people to believe that this story is true. So they're going to say it's you, it's your mind.
This is
They're
what
trying to say it's the Zorro movie that they got it from, and you know.
well,
everything-
watch Zorro
everything-
movie, and then everything's
Just a
gonna
minute,
be
you
clear.
guys. Just a minute. Psychiatry is the real shadow government. Alright, this is how they're using it. This is what they're using. They're using Freud and Jungian techniques to play with the mind of the populace. They're telling the people they're being mass mind controlled, what to wear, what to eat, when to work, when to sleep, when to laugh, when to cry, when to live, and when to die. They even tell you how long you should live.
I mean, people need to switch their TVs off, really, don't they?
If someone comes along and tells you now
Immediately.
that death is neither inevitable nor necessary, you'll believe the corporate lie that death is. People won't even have the energy to even play with the idea any longer that possibly we're being lied to, and that death is neither necessary nor inevitable. That we're living in a death cult, we're being ruled by a death cult. They make war, and they create so much death because they feel that it will make them wealthy, that they will gain some reward from it. And when they create war, they do.
Mass sacrifice as well.
That's right.
They're doing it as a
It's a mass blood
sacrifice. They create
sacrifice.
wars to create to create a blood to shed blood. To
their
drain
God.
blood from
Also,
Goyim.
you've got
To
this new world order,
to
you know,
drain
they
blood
want
from the Goyim.
take down the population, don't they?
To drain blood
They
from
want
the
to reduce the
Goyim,
numbers.
to drain blood from the Goyim, to appease their bogeyman god of death. Because their god is a god of death. They fear death.
Yeah.
They have no real faith. And they attempt to cheat death with dead offerings of dead children and blood. Yeah. They've misinterpreted ancient scriptures, which tell them to drink the blood and eat the body of the virgin goddess, of the virgin, of someone pure. And they misinterpreted these arcane writings to mean that they should be drinking the blood of innocent children. Yeah? What's he saying? Prohibit cannabis. What was that link? What's the Pope saying? Huh?
The Pope saying that, cannabis, they shouldn't legalise it.
They shouldn't legalize it, yeah.
the studies that were being done.
Yeah, let's legalize blood drinking,
Yeah,
shall we?
let's legalize paedophilia and sodomy, yeah.
Yeah, well, they more or less are legalizing it, aren't they?
And
because
let's slow down.
the truth's coming out, and they're stopping it, aren't they? They're hiding it, and
lower the age of consent.
Let's lower the age of consent as well.
Yeah.
Don't forget
yeah,
that.
yeah, and teach 4-year-olds
they're lobbying it
sexual
everywhere in
positions
Europe.
That's right. And teach 4 and 5-year-old sexual position. This is where we are, right? And cannabis is a perfect food. And according to Kathy O'Brien, she's a survivor. She's a survivor of MK Ultra or satanic ritual abuse, and she says
in U.S. government.
Yeah, and she says
George Bush, wasn't it? No, do you remember? I don't
think
know.
so. Some president.
Bush.
She says that cannabis deletes and prevents mind control programming, and we found that even within these popular cultures, these contemporary cultures, that people who, even though they smoke cannabis, because we don't condone the smoking of cannabis.
It's not inappropriate.
Yeah, it's not the ideal way of communing with the plant, but it is such a sacred food and such an ideal that even by smoking it, people can derive some benefit from it. However, if you go to www.cannabisinternational.org, you can get the science. It's a bit late in the evening for me to be doing the science of cannabinoid acids as opposed to cannabinoid neutrals. So what I will say is that by heating or drying cannabis, we create unnatural compounds which can create overdose at very microscopic levels, at small levels, at low levels. However, with
when the smoking, they activate it, the psychoactive effect.
Yes, cooking or heating the plant, what happens is that the cannabinoid acid molecules, they lose the acid part of the chain and they become neutral, and in their neutral form they can be way more potent,
toxic,
and they're unnatural. You can have an overdose at very low, they can become toxic at very low.
So it's just yet another thing that they've hidden from us, healthy foods.
Well, it's because of prohibition. It's because of prohibition. There hasn't been sufficient research done into it.
It's been until 37 it was prohibited.
1937.
Before they've been prescribing cannabis in all pharmacy around the world.
Yes.
As one of the most treasured herbal medicine plant.
Nothing to do with Monsanto, because they seem to have taken over a lot of their...
Monsanto, their intention is to control the global food supply, which is why they're making these Frankenstein foods, and you have to go back to them for seed every year. So if a farmer can't produce his own seed or her seed, and they have to return to a centralized sort of governing seed body, as it were, then that governing body can decide whether or not you and your people have food or not, because they hold the seed. So they shouldn't be able to hold the seed. These are heirloom seeds, these are seed, this is food for the people. So this is their intention.
A corporation shouldn't hold the seeds. The seed's on the plant, isn't it? It's there for everyone to use, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No worries. Thanks a lot, Ella. Thanks a lot, Abraham.
Thank you so much.
Have a blessed
evening. Thank you for your time as well, and thank you for helping us to fight for the children.
Yeah, well, let's hope we can actually do something, for them and for all the other children. Haven't you been
on the thing? When you go in the Hampstead cover up now, there's so many videos. It's crazy.
If you insert Hampstead cover up on YouTube or Google, it's a lot of pages now available.
Yeah. Even if you put Hampstead in.
If you put Hampstead in, you're getting houses for sale. People say.
Not if you go for today. If you put in today, then you would do. Yeah, but if you just put Hampstead in, just as
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that's coming up on the first page. Yes, you're doing well. The message is getting out. Let's just hope.
The message is getting out. Huh?
Yeah, the message is out. So let's hope they can actually do something, you know, and let's get a change.
We want to tell people to go up the court on the 23rd, all right? Then that's what we want to tell them.
To come and support us and to join the. Apparently there are protests going on in London now. Yeah, this couple of times.
Last weekend.
And so we do.
You want to contact those two guys? I've got the Facebook link. Contact them.
It would be great if people will come and support us on the 23rd inside the court, because it's going to be opening an open hearing, or outside.
Yeah.
And
Inside and outside.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. You want a big?
Yeah.
There is actually, but the process itself starts on the 15th. 23rd is an appeal. We are appealing against Puffley's judgment, but on the 15th they are starting the hearing about the children.
Okay.
Listen, I don't want you to record this now. You have to switch off now, man.
And it's all around the country and other countries.
And you've seen the children, but the mothers they're taking the babies from. You've seen them, 15-year-old girls in Africa.
Yeah, I saw that footage.
They give them
the baby factory.
Yeah, they give them £2-3 for their baby.
You're joking.
To me. You're talking to me. After they put them up for 9 months. The girl goes there. They feed her. They give her accommodation. They give her everything she needs. And then when she has the baby, there's £3. See you later.
Yeah, I saw the accommodation. It weren't much, was it?
That's right. I said, yeah.
Africa is something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in China, they got these baby banks now, haven't they, where you can just drop your baby off.
In India, they do in India the same thing.
Yeah, but in China they're eating them. In China they're eating them in a restaurant. We're putting a stop to it.
Listen, I'll chat to you tomorrow, innit?
Yeah, stay blessed.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good night.
Thanks a lot, Ella. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sorry to keep you up so late. Yeah.
Okay, no worries.
I want to ask